All right. With that said, let's get our guest speaker up here. He hails from Summersville, South Carolina. As a matter of fact, whenever I go out to Summersville, South Carolina, we will work from sun up to sundown. Now, you talking about somebody that will give me a run for my time and money? This guy, we go all day long. We go from city to city. We've been in cities so small, Jackie Black, the stop sign says stop, the other side says goodbye. We stopped. I remember we stopped at an Arab gas station to get some gas, and he went in there and talked to the Arab guy, set an appointment. I said, "Man, I didn't know you speak Arab." He go, "I don't." He is now. You talking about having some fun going out prospecting with? This guy will go out prospect belly belly, eyeball eyeball. I mean, we go. I'm serious. We would go so much all day, all night. When I got off the plane, by the time I got back on the plane 2 days later, I was. I mean, that's why I was supposed to be tired. I got in first class, had one cocktail, went straight out. But anyway, he will go from sun up to sundown. I swear, we could wear out a flat. We could wear out 4 tires in a day, just going up and down, going up and down. These little cities and up and down the highway. And he's up and down the highway so much. But anyway, uh, was doing so much of that and go back to my hotel at 1 o'clock in the morning. He says, "Why don't you sleep on my couch? You okay with that?" I love it because I'm never there anyway. Get up in the morning, we shave, take a shower, out the door, prospecting. And this is why he hit RD so fast and popped into the RD so fast because he's out there in the trenches. Without further ado, can we give a warm welcome, team, to none other than the great Mr. Curtis Evans from Summerfield, South Carolina.
To it. I'm really happy to be here today. We got a lot to talk about. I always tell people, I wish I'd have known about this earlier. I mean, and just think to yourself, what would happen if you knew about this type of way of creating right now income and long-term residual income? If you knew about it when you're 18 and 19 years old, just imagine how far you could be if someone really set you down and showed you two ways of making money. One way is to use your time, go out and work 40 hours and get paid for 40 hours with no residual. And then you work a month for no residual. You worked a year, no residual. Because the first thing that I had a hard time understanding was the residual package, the residual part. And I think that's what so many people miss because they automatically show the plan. I already have a job, I already make money, I'm already making a living. And so in their brains, they can't seem to understand or grasp this residual income. Now some people call it mailbox money. Some people call it like Social Security that you can get early. You got to be able to explain it to them in a way because really in school, we never learned about residual income. If I cut my dad's grass, he paid me one time. I cut the guy next door's grass, he paid me one time. Nobody paid me for cutting their grass one time, and then every week they'll give me a quarter, a nickel, a dime when I was growing up. I sold grass seeds when I was in sixth grade. I remember Americans in the back of Superman comic book. I'll cut out an ad and I send them $2 and they'll send me some grass seeds. And I'll go door to door selling grass seeds. Okay. And I'll grab flower seeds, grass seeds. And I did that in Atwater, California, Merced, California for 3 years. And I made money. Sometimes my dad would come to me and want to borrow some money because he knew I had a few dollars in my pocket. My thing is, they never said anything about residual income. And so when we go to school, especially if you go to college, they don't talk about it. Now, if you go to a B college like like Yale, Stanford, or Harvard or something like that, you're going to learn about residual income because wealthy people always talk about making 1%. If you look on the news, you'll see them talking about 1%. But we're saying, what are you they're so jacked up over 1%, or they're so jacked up over 2%. Even when we show the plan, we show somebody you can make up to 4% of the money that comes in. They look at you, that's all? Because they do not understand residual income. I want to ask you a question. What is 4% of $1,000? If you got $1,000, 4% is $40. You say, I'm doing all that for $40. That's what a normal person would think. Okay? But what's 4% of $100,000? Suppose you're getting $4,000 a month. What if you're making $1 million in revenue and you got 4% of that? What would that be? That's 40,000. So they don't understand residual income. So that's why I didn't get started. So I want you to just kind of halfway understand why people say no, okay? Because in some minds, it sounds too good to be true, okay? It sounds too good to be true, but it is, it's true. I remember Warren Buffett talking about wealth. he said it's a 10-year project. He said, I can show people what to do, but no matter what they do, he said it's a 10-year project. Okay. And so then when people hear that, they're saying, well, this is not for me, because they only can think of 1 week at a time. Okay. So I just want you to understand what people are thinking because of how they were brought up. So today I got a little treat for you. I want you to understand that we have a business, we have an opportunity, and people from other countries get it a little quicker than we do because we just don't get it. We got a pretty good life here in the United States. If you never lived outside the United States, we're doing pretty good. Okay. So what I want to do is show you something that I learned from someone that talks about putting the work in, because and when we say work, Al talks about work, I talk about work, Greg, everybody talks about work. What are they talking about? They're talking about peaking people and showing them the plan. You can't do anything about anything after you show them the plan. Unless you got some skills to get them into business, but the plan is what we're trying to do, show the plan. So the person that shows the most plans wins. In this business, that's what they say, do the work, getting people to sit down and look at the plan. And you have to have thick skin because whatever they decide is what they decide. So you can't quit because 2 people said no or 3 people said no. So let's talk about the art of doing the thing that
you could be rich, man, but you cannot erase the work ethic part. There is no getting around. Ain't no elevator to the top. You got to take the stairs. The elevator don't go to the top, man. Not in the world of success. You got to take the stairs. Y'all got to start getting gritty, man. I hate it when I see young people wasting their time, wasting all this technology got, just bull, just sitting around in this world that's been created for you, that everything is instant.
So he's talking, we got to take the stairs or the steps. We got to take those steps. We got to do the work. And, a lot of times we're looking for a quick, easy, and 3,000 people showed up in our downline. That's not going to happen. I mean, you got to put in the steps. And that's what he's talking about there. Now, what are the steps? When you first get into business, I want you to become obsessed. I saw a plan the other day. When they finish, you would think a CQ was a SVP, okay? You would think CQ was SVP when I saw the plan. And I just started implementing it. You would think CQ is SVP because sometimes people need that motivation just to get themselves started, okay? And then the next position is ETL, okay? We all know that. And our company pays, crazy. I mean, this is a crazy business where we pay $325 to get started. We gather 5 customers and you get over half of that back. 5 customers, okay? You get $200. You sign up an IBO, and we're going to talk about that at another date. You sign up an IBO and help them to get 15 points, and you got $500. That's $700. And some people, most people, I think, can get that done in a couple 3 days. Okay, yeah, $700. That means that week or the next week they earn $700. Okay, if they get 3 more customers, they earn $900. Now, watch this. If they go to RC, if they can get to RC, there's another $500. If they go RC, and if they stay in RC for another 30 days, so it's like $1,900, it's $2,000 sitting there. Now, how much money do you pay to get started? $325. And if you went to work, not the 3rd week, not the 4th week, and your time is out, you went to work, you have an opportunity to make some crazy money. How can they afford to pay $2,000 out for a $300 startup fee? How can they afford to do that? It's because this is a real company. They have money. They know how to build. They build a business. Let's talk about that for a minute. I want to go back to my screen and I want to talk about some of the things we have to do to get our business off to the start. Now, you guys know this guy.
And you mentioned before, Greg, that principles are a really big part of ACN. They're a big part of why you're still here today. And I know that you personally are a really big believer in principles. I'd really want to talk through this process because it's really quite fascinating. I know you had an amazing speaker, Andy Andrews came as well to the Elevate conference, who is also, all very much principles based in his presentations. Do you want to talk a little bit about, why principles are important, why they're important to you, and what exactly do you mean by principles? Big question.
It's an interesting question. Yeah, it really is an interesting question. It's so vast. I I just believe that you need to establish a solid foundation for anything that you do. Without a solid foundation, it's going to come crumbling down. If you don't have other people's interests at heart more so than your own, I believe you're destined to fail. I really do. So we put in foundational Christian principles into our company. Just simple things like treat people that you want the way that you want to be treated. You know, how simple is that? And yet it's contrary to the way society works today.
Yeah.
You know, everybody is about me, I. What can I get at everybody else's expense? And they'll win for a short term. They'll get away with it for a week or a month or maybe even a year. But it'll catch up to them. And it's just not worth it to us. Not just financially. I'm just talking about personally. You know, I want to lay my head down on a pillow and know that we treated people well. Maybe they didn't. Maybe some people didn't make it, and I can tell you a lot of them don't make it because they don't want to work. But I can't help that, right? I only can provide hope and opportunity and an environment to win. And so these principles are very, very. They're serious to us. You know, one of those principles is never compromise who you are. Never compromise what you stand for. Those are very, very serious things because it's so easy to chase. It's so easy to be enticed. And if you do that, it just turns out to be a disaster. I learned a long time ago, the greatest distance between where you want to go from where you're at is a shortcut, right? It's the shortcuts don't turn out to be what you want to have happen for yourself and for your company. It just doesn't. So I would just encourage anybody that's listening to this to always think long term. Don't think about today. Don't think about, do you have to be concerned about today? Yes. Do you got to be concerned about tomorrow? Yes. But just like when you ride a bike, you know, if you look at your wheel, right, you're gonna hit something, right? But if you look down the road, you're going to stay on the straight and narrow, and you're not going to be distracted so much about the things that are in your peripheral vision. So I would just encourage everyone to have that long-term mindset, to think about the next 5 years, 10 years, where you want to go, and you will navigate all your efforts towards that direction.
Yeah. You know, as you say that, I know one of the big challenges over the last few years I really believe I've seen people drawing their vision, their sight inwards, you know, to what's going on right in front of them right now. I don't see as many people, and I don't know about you, this is a personal observation. I'd be keen to know what you're observing going on, but that long-term thinking seems to have really shortened over the last few years. And, you know, for those that are worried about what's right in front of them right now, you know, even just the finances this week and the making the decisions this week to get through this week, what advice would you offer to those people right now to change that thought process and that thinking to move back to a long-term plan? Yeah.
You know what I found? Let me backtrack a little bit. I grew up in the inner city of Detroit. Look, it was during the 60s. You know, I'm 63 years old. I was born in the 60s. So in the 60s and the 70s, in the inner city of Detroit was not very pleasant. And I could tell you horror stories about, you know, what I've seen, what I experienced. And I can tell you that, and this holds true today, that most people that live in dysfunction, they no longer notice that it's dysfunctional. It's just the way that it is. And until you have a higher perspective to see really what's going on, that's what I'm talking about, long-term vision, you'll never recognize the dysfunction. And so today, you talk about the economy, you talk about where people are at today. I honestly don't know what people are going to do that are just relying on employment. You know, I really don't. I mean, look, I'm quite odd in this regard. I love to go grocery shopping.
No, I'm with you. I enjoy grocery shopping. So.
I do most of the grocery shopping in the house. I just love to go, and I'm blown away by the grocery bill. I'm blown away. Right? You get a little sack of something, it's $60, it's $70 today. And every time I go, I think to myself, I don't know how people are doing it, right? When I'm in the grocery store, for example, and I see elderly people with their grocery cart. I just remember my mom, again, growing up in the inner city, I remember her putting stuff back. I just remember the look in her eyes, just thinking, how in the world am I going to pay this? Where am I going to eat that? I remember her taking stuff out of the basket. And so I'm looking around and I'm seeing these elderly people buying these groceries. And a lot of times I just pick up their tab. I just can't stand it because I just see the angst. But for the average person out there that's just relying on a W-2, I mean, listen, there's a lot of good jobs out there, and I'm not slamming jobs at all. But what I am saying is, here's what I'm saying, is if there was a way, and this is where ACN comes in. So I'm selfishly telling my opportunity story, but I'm just telling you the truth, okay? I mean, you can go somewhere else and look somewhere else. There's tremendous opportunities elsewhere. So I'm not just plugging ACN, but ACN's a good one. If you can start a plan B on the side where you actually can build a company within a company, where you can actually own your own business and create a residual income coming into your household every single month, where in case something happens to what you're doing on a full-time basis, that you have something going on alongside of it, and you're not going to be devastated, because most people, Sam, they don't have 3 months of savings. They don't have it. If something happened to their job within the first 30 days, they don't know where their next dollar is going to come from.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I would create an insurance policy for my family, if you will. I would start something on a part-time basis without question. It may be ACN, it may be not, it may be something else that you're thinking about. But my encouragement to you is, whatever it is, just do something while you have something else going on, so your family's not devastated down the road, because it's coming. I think there's worse days ahead for what's going on globally than better days ahead.
Yeah.
And we see signs of it all around. So I would just encourage you to put something in place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really powerful message. And I think it's the underlying fear that a lot of people have right now. And there's, you see there's three things that people do. They either, make silly decisions, which, and we've all done it, where you look back and you go, wow, I really wish I hadn't done that because that wasn't forward thinking. They stand completely still, or they make good decisions to move forward. And this is the thing, whatever that needs to be at the moment, we are in a really different time. And, fear can do a lot to the way that people respond.
Yes. Yes. I got, a lot of friends that I golf with, and, and some of them, are quite wealthy, and they don't know. Think about this. There's a class of people that are looking to make money, right? And they don't know what to do there. But the people that have made money, they don't know what to do with it today, right? Because everything's in disarray. I mean, everything, the global markets, you pick up a publication today, you see something online. It's so rare to see a positive story today. It's so rare. We're swimming upstream. We're fighting battles. We're bombarded with so much information. People are confused, and you know what confused people do? Nothing. Yeah. And they wind up getting crushed. And I would just encourage everyone that's listening to this, don't just stand there and get crushed, right? Get something going, but move forward. Either you're growing or you're dying. I want you to move forward. I want you to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and you can create it if you have the right mindset and the right desire to do something.
Yeah.
The reason I showed that is because most of the business owners around the world are people that, like he said, people that have a lot are confused with what to do with their money. And then there's a lot of people that don't have any money, and they're relying on a check week to week to week to week to week, which is a really bad plan. And so we have to come in. That's where we come in. We come in, as he said, we're showing them a way to build something on the side while they're doing their regular thing. Do your regular thing. And be sure you make sure they understand, you keep your job, because they hear this and they think we're trying to get them to quit their job. they really in the back of their head think you're trying to get them to quit their job to come do this. We're not doing that. He said, we got something that they can do on the side while they have their job that could grow and build in something a lot better. So our compensation, you got to fall in love with our compensation plan. So he goes on and on. This is a long video. I'll show clips of it from time to time, but I really want you to understand that we have a great opportunity with bills that people already have. And I'm gonna tell you one more thing before I go. So what happens is I want you to understand the power of our business. And you know, I don't have the success I like to have. You know, we made the RD when you're going on the way to RVP. I got it on a wall back there when we plan to hit the RVP mark. But what I really want you to do is understand what you have, okay? And try to show the plan as often as you can and teach other people to show the plan, because the world that we live in is completely different. Young folks now today, I say, I wish I knew this when I was younger, but young folks in a whole different world. Their attention span is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they can hardly wait for the one to come before because they want to see the video. They're upset about waiting 5 seconds. You know, it's a whole different folks coming through. They were raised on the internet. Their attention span is very, very short. That's for one. But there are a group of people out there that are very, very young that do not want to do what I did. They don't want to do what you did. They do not want to work for 40 or 50 years. If someone could show them a way to do this, they would do it. So we have a great opportunity in our hands here. And Mr. Provenzano just talked about it. Now I'm gonna tell you a little short story. The other day I was at a meeting. You guys are gonna laugh about this one. And we were just talking this networking session. And I talked to a guy, he and I got along really, really good. We're well-dressed guy, well-dressed guy. And we got along real good. We were talking and laughing about this. And he said, well, what else do you do? And I said, well, I sell gas and electricity. And he said, gas and electricity? I said, yeah. And he said, that's what you do? And I said, yeah, in 19 states. And I also have some energy, but the biggest thing I do is help people start their business from home, and you know, so that they can have a way to make some extra money. He said, are you talking about ACN? I said, yeah. He said, oh, that's interesting. I said, well, you know about ACN? He said, well, I married the owner's daughter. And I said, what? He said, yeah, Mr. Provenzano. So he and I, yeah, he married not Autumn, but their other daughter. And he was in Charleston, you know, for a minute. So long story short, we talked and bonded, and I was telling him stories about, you know, what I learned from Greg down in Panama when I was down there with the Al, and I told him what we would go up to the corporate office and spend some time with him. He said, yeah. And I was saying, you know, I said, you know, the only problem I have, and I said, it's not your problem, it's not Greg's problem. I said, it's mine. And this guy fixed my problem. He fixed my problem. And I'm gonna tell you what he did. It was an issue. Everybody got the issue, and my issue was, and Alison told me about it 45,000 times. So I don't have any excuse for mine if I tell him about myself. So I'm okay with that. But I worked unusually hard in another network marketing business. Unusually hard in another network marketing business. I quit a job. I had a wife that did not work and 4 kids, and I quit the job and went to work with the company called. I won't talk about the name of the company. And when I got to the pinnacle of that business, which whatever the top of the line was there, about 6 months later, 8 months later, they went out of business. So I had the same experience that Greg had. Okay. And I told him, and he said, you talking about them selling it? He said, that's not going to happen. And I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, and he told me some things that I needed to hear. This guy, I would never see him again, but he told me some things about how solid the company is, and how they could sell it tomorrow and make a ton of money, but that's not who they are. In fact, he told me we had 3 co-founders. I said 4. He said 3. And I said, well, who are the 3? He said, my father-in-law, he said, Mr. Stephanopoulos, I can't ever say his name. And he said, we call Mike and Tony one person because they're twins, you know, so they call them one person. So he said, we got 3 owners. And he said, they've all been through what you've been through. I said, I know that. He said, but I'm telling you from it, this guy, I never meet him again. He could have told me anything, but he said that they're no more interested. They're building the company for the next 40, 50 years. So now, old boy can work. I can work without having that little, because I'll tell you, 1% of doubt and you're out. 1% of doubt and you're out. It don't take much. You got to be 100% locked into anything to be able to make it work. So hopefully that helps somebody on the call here. And that's all I have for today. I hope I was able to help somebody somewhere move on. Okay.